Hello, my Cayuga friends. I miss you all very much. I am happy to be at least able to be in touch with you this way. I hope everyone is staying safe and doing the right thing. This read aloud is for my fourth and fifth graders. Of course, anyone is welcome to enjoy it. This book is written by Chris Van Allsburg. You may not know that name, but I guarantee you know some of his books. He has a lot of books. His two most famous ones would be Jumanji, and there's been a whole bunch of movies made from that book, and Polar Express. Also, everybody knows that one, both the book and the movie, I think. This one is called Ben's Dream, and I think this is a really interesting one. A couple of interesting things about Chris Van Allsburg, and I mentioned it in my little blurb on my website. One is that somewhere in all of his books he has a bull terrier. That's that, like the target dog is a bull terrier. Story is, I think his uncle had a bull terrier named Fritz. He really liked the dog, so he kind of has them in his book somewhere. He has him in his book somewhere always. And he really likes to kind of play with what might be real and what isn't. And I'll explain a little bit when we get to the end of this book what I mean by that. But Ben's Dream, written and illustrated by Chris Van Allsburg. There are a number of pages in here that are wordless, so I will just make sure that hopefully you can see the illustrations really well. Ben and Margaret pedaled faster when they saw the black rain clouds rolling in. They had hoped to play baseball with some friends that afternoon. "I guess," said Margaret, "I'll go home and study for that geography test tomorrow." "Me too," answered Ben as he turned his bike down the road that led to his house. "See you later." Ben's mom was not home. He went into the living room and sat in his father's easy chair, opening his school book to study for the geography test on great landmarks of the world. So Ben and Margaret on their bikes, and you see the clouds, black clouds up here. And then Ben coming in, his mom left him a little note over here, went shopping. As Ben read, rain began to fall against the window. Lightly at first, then a steady downpour heavier than Ben had ever seen. The rhythmic sound of the rain drumming on the window made him a little sleepy. In fact, very sleepy. But then, so we see him in his chair with his geography book and the pouring rain, but then look what's happening. Check out what's happening with the furniture in the room and look out the window. Water everywhere and things falling over, and there is Fritz. There is the bull terrier. Now, this landmark I am sure you all recognize. Ben's house here floating along, and of course the Statue of Liberty. Again, Ben's house. This tower you might recognize. It is in London. It's called, actually the clock is called Big Ben, but people call the whole tower Big Ben often. These pages are thick and a little hard to turn. New book. Now this landmark, let me see, I'll give you a second to look at it and see if anyone recognizes it. This is a really different view than you usually get of this particular landmark because we're looking at it from inside. And this, anybody have any guesses? This is the Eiffel Tower in Paris. This one is another one I bet you all know. Ben's house floating by. We see his hand, just his hand on the pole of the porch. He's watching it float by, and it is, of course, the Leaning Tower of Pisa in Italy. This is, again, another one some of you might know. There's Ben looking through the window. This is a temple in Greece. Does that help anyone? It's in Athens. And this is called the Parthenon. Another one I bet you know. Now, important background. Another house. We are looking at this landmark from Ben's porch. We see his hand waving, and there's another house over there floating by. This, anyone guessed what this one is? This is the Great Sphinx of Giza. Giant statue with the head of a man and the body of a lion. Sorry, whoops. This, I don't think anyone's going to know this one. This is a beautiful cathedral in Russia. This is called St. Basil's Basilica. And it is multicolored and just beautiful. These are called onion domes. You can probably figure out why. They're shaped like onions. And then another almost onion dome here. Anyone know what this one is? This is in India. It is called the Taj Mahal. This one is one I think you will recognize as well. This is the Great Wall of China. And last but not least, Ben, wake up, he hears. This, of course, is Mount Rushmore here in the United States. Now we're back to the story. Ben opened his eyes. The room was full of sunshine. The storm had passed. I'm trying to get this at the right angle for you guys. Margaret was at the window. "Hey, Ben, wake up," she yelled again. Ben opened his eyes. "Come on, sleepyhead, we're going to play ball." Ben grabbed his mitt and ran outside. He and Margaret walked their bikes down Ben's rough gravel driveway. "You know," Margaret said, "that geography book put me to sleep too, and I had the funniest dream. I floated around the world past all those landmarks. They were half underwater. You'll never guess who I saw when I floated past the Sphinx." Ben smiled. "Me," he said, "standing on my front porch waving." Margaret's jaw dropped in amazement. "How did you know?" Ben got on his bike and pedaled ahead. "Because I saw you there," he called out, and rolled down the hill. So, that's what I mean by Chris Van Allsburg kind of playing around with what's real and what's not. We would just figure if we didn't have this very end part that he had a dream. You know, it makes sense. It was rainy, he fell asleep, he was studying about the landmarks, but his friend Margaret had the same dream and they saw each other in it. Kind of throws you a little bit for a loop. You're not really sure what you're supposed to believe. Very last page of the book, Chris Van Allsburg shows us a map of the route that Ben's house would have taken to pass all of those landmarks. So it gives you an idea of on each continent where those landmarks are. And he gives us just a little bit of information about each of the 10 landmarks here. What you guys are going to be doing, and the directions are written on the webpage, what you're going to be doing is a little research on each of these landmarks using our virtual reference collection. I'm not asking you to write anything down, but I would like you to really read up on these and learn some things about them. They're pretty much really interesting. The only one I was not really able to find anything on at all was St. Basil's. If you can, that's awesome. Let me know where you found it. Email me if you did find anything, but I was not able to, not using our virtual reference collection anyway. If you're really interested in pursuing it a little bit further, of course, after you have done the virtual reference collection search, you certainly can go out into the web and do some Google searching and see what you can find out. We're going to be working on this for 2 weeks, so take your time. Not necessary that you rush through it all right away. And of course, as always, if you have any problems with anything or questions or just want to say hi, I would be happy to hear from you. Email me. Be good. Take care. I missed you. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.